Hi, it's me, Katarina P. And we're going to be going through a certain section of this book, Autismhandboken by Katarina Sörngård, a book written by a neurotypical, but who is supposedly an expert on autism. I am very critical towards this book because sometimes this book seems like it is about masking, but I am going through this book together with you so that we can maybe glean some positive messages out of it and do this by an autistic person for an autistic person. You know, I just got diagnosed 3 months ago at the age of 28, and certain parts of this book are kind of triggering for me and difficult, but I think that I am gleaning certain things out of it. So this part is going to be extremely difficult because it is about communication, which obviously is very close to the masking part. This part is about nonverbal communication and communicating your needs and shutdowns and clarity of communication. So the first part is about nonverbal communication, which I think that we need to be a little bit skeptical of people who talk about body language signals, because sure, there is some truth to it, and I think that if we have come all this way and are late diagnosed autistics, we know about these certain cues. Like, they're not a mystery to us. However, they can be difficult to notice right at that moment, and sometimes even if we notice it, we feel like we don't have the tools to like do anything about it, and nothing in this feels natural. Also, a lot of these cues are individual, and we know that, I think, and I think it's a little bit condescending of the author to assume that we don't know these things. I think that we realize that if somebody is standing up, it means that they want to leave the conversation, but you know, it's not the case 100% of the time. Maybe somebody is standing up because they want to get some water, and they're ready to come back. Or if somebody is not looking at you, it doesn't mean that they're uninterested. It might be that they are autistic as well and don't want to have eye contact. Or maybe they just temporarily lost the thread of the conversation but are ready to come back because they actually find that this is interesting. You know, we can't say 100% of the time that this body signal means this, because otherwise we would have figured out, like, you know, lie detector machines and all that, which we haven't. Okay. Spoiler, we haven't. Okay. Then we get to eye contact, which is one of the worst sections of this book, but she does have a point in that eye contact can give information about social cues, and it can make that a person feel like you are listening to them. However, that does not mean that you are actually listening to them if you are having eye contact, because especially as an autistic person, you might find that eye contact is distracting, and you might feel like you concentrate better if you don't have eye contact. That's at least how I feel. Some people with autism have too much eye contact and then scare off the neurotypical person. And it's like, okay, well, so she does talk about that, and I'm glad that she does. But the thing is, she does talk about how to have more eye contact, which is kind of like training yourself to mask, which I would not want for anybody. She talks about a way to train yourself together with a trusted person to give more and more eye contact by having you read a story and give more and more eye contact, like at every full stop, give eye contact. No, I don't want you guys to do that, okay? Don't put yourself through that. I think that if you've come this far if you've come this far to actually get to this video, I think that you've probably tried something similar before, you know, to train yourself in a way to do the neurotypical things in order to be accepted in society. So we'll go further. Let's not talk about that. She does, to her credit, talk about the situation. If eye contact makes it more difficult, then this is what I would agree with. She says that we can tell the other person so that the other person knows about this and can adjust accordingly. So you can say, please excuse me if I don't take eye contact with you, but I concentrate better on what you have to say if I don't look at you in the eyes. I hope that works for you. You know, I think that that is the way to go. Okay, so I'll give her credit for that. She talks about other nonverbal communication like nodding and humming and smiling. I don't think that she really, you know, it's not great to smile when you don't feel like smiling. So I would rather you guys don't take that to the letter, you know, because it's not great to smile just because you're told to smile. Then we've got a section that is much more positive and that I agree with. It's about asking for clarification to make communication stronger between you and other people. So something that is good to ask is, have I understood you correctly? Or have I misunderstood something or missed something? Please tell me in that case. Or you can even go as far as to say, I have difficulty reading between the lines, so please be clear with me, otherwise there is a risk that I will miss something. So here we've got an example person, Eric. Eric often is in misunderstandings between him and his students because he's a teacher, and he doesn't understand why this student is struggling. So he says, if I understood you correctly, you have read the material and but you have difficulty understanding the content and need help with that. Have I understood you correctly? And the student says, not really. I think I understand the content, but I don't understand how it relates to my thesis statement. Okay, I mean, I don't know the situation, okay. And then Eric says, oh, you don't understand how the articles are coupled to your thesis statement. Is that correct? And then the student says, that's correct. So then Eric says, I understand now. Please let me explain. So that is a way to get some kind of mutual communication. It is funny that she does mention that neurotypical people often try to, sugarcoat things and pad things up with other statements rather than being clear. There's another situation that Eric happens to have problems with, is that he and his wife sometimes have communication difficulties. And in one such instance, his wife, Lena, was really tired after work. And so she came back home, but she felt too tired to do anything. She wanted to go and lie down. So she says, I'm completely exhausted. I am going to go lie down. And then Eric is like, oh, anything special? And then Lena says, no, I'm just really tired. So then Eric just like, okay, well, I'm going to go and read an article and then I'll join her. Okay, Eric likes to read articles. Okay, but then he comes to the bedroom a little bit later after having read his article, and he finds his wife in tears. And he's like, what went wrong? And this is like quite relatable to my experience sometimes. So it's like, okay, somewhere we've misunderstood each other. And Lena had the expectation, or like she thought that she had been clear, but she hadn't. Okay. Well, we're guessing that Lena is neurotypical, but she could be autistic. I don't know. But she said, I'm tired. I'm going to go lie down. But she didn't say, oh, could you please tuck in the children tonight because I don't feel like I have the energy for that. I had a bad day at work. I would be really grateful if you put the children to sleep so that I don't need to do it. Not tonight. Maybe some other night, but not tonight. And if she had been clear, then Eric would have said, oh, of course, maybe we don't know because that's not what happened. But he says that if he had known, he would have been happy to help with tucking the children in. But he didn't realize this. So he didn't, and then he disappointed her. And so she could have been more clear in her communication in what she expected and give more information than just that she's tired and she's going to go lie down. And he could have been more clear in asking for clarification. So he could have said, instead of saying, oh, is there anything special? He could have said, is there any way that I can help? Or he could say, please tell me if there's anything that you would like to discuss. Or he could also say, I want things to be good between us. Please tell me if there's anything that I have missed. And so in this case, so both parties can help each other understand each other by having an open communication. Because I feel like I kind of relate to this kind of situation where somebody expects something from me and thinks that I can understand what they're saying just by not saying it, okay? And then I'm all confused and then I've disappointed them. Where I could have done better is I could have said, is there anything you need? Is there any way I can help? Is there, I would like us to have, to discuss this if you'd like, but the other person also has to do their part, which is to be clear and say what they want. So that is an interesting situation, which I relate to. Then we've got Germo. Germo uses clarifications at work. So he thinks, so he gets into a lot of misunderstandings, and he is often seen as nonchalant because he doesn't have eye contact and he often doesn't respond to people when they talk to him. But now he's going to start at a new internship and he wants to not have all these misunderstandings. So he says, I've understood that this is what I need to do. Have I understood correctly? Or should I do it exactly the same way as I did it last time, or should I do it in a different way? You said that I need to wait a bit before starting with this task. How long is a bit? You gave me a list of tasks I could do. Are all of these tasks as important, or is there a way that I should prioritize them? You said that I should pack the materials in boxes. Can you show me how to do that so that I understand this better? Yesterday we ate out. I would prefer to take my own food with me. Can I do that at this restaurant? You said that the lunch was 30 minutes. Some people eat lunch much longer than that. How long is my lunch? that kind of reminds me of when I was having a discussion with my Polish internet friend. And she said that, oh, let's meet at lunch. And I should have said, well, what happened is that and then she said, oh, well, let's meet at 3. And I said, at 3, we usually have tea time here in Sweden. Is this the time that you eat lunch in Poland? And she says, oh, yes, this is the time that we eat lunch in Poland. So I had misunderstood, like thinking that I thought that we were going to meet at 12, but her idea of a lunch was at 3. So if I hadn't made that connection, I would have thought that she had changed her mind maybe and wanted to have tea, but actually she did want lunch, but she wanted at 3. And I said, well, actually 3 is a bit too late for me. So can we have it at 1? And so we had it at 1. So these are kind of like social rules that you don't know until you're there, Then there's a technique about learning to ask for help. And this is good for neurotypicals as well, but it's especially good for autistic people. And the reason why is that autistic people have a harder time with alexithymia, and so learning to place your feelings, know what your signals of your body are, and therefore we have a hard time vocalizing our needs, especially if we're high masking, So this is a strategy that, is called NBG theory in English. In Swedish it's BBM, but it's not that in English. It's NBG. So this strategy, first you need to prepare yourself, because first you need to know what is it that you need. So the way that you prepare for the NBG strategy is that you talk to somebody that you trust. For me, it has often been the internet, which I don't know if I trust, but I trust you guys in a certain way where I just spitball ideas. It can be a friend, a family member. For me, it's been my supervisor often, where you just explore what your difficulties are and in what way this can be better problem solving together. And then you learn how to ask for help in a structured way and in a way that is understandable to that person. So Jarmo has a need for this strategy, and he has a problem that I have too, which is that he has difficulty finding structure with his meal times. And he often just eats frozen pizza, and sometimes he doesn't even eat dinner at all. And so first what he does is that he talks to his mom about this, and he says, food, it doesn't work, He's like, please, how do I get help with this? And then the mom says, well, maybe you could ask the social worker that works for you. And so he has a social worker that's home support system, where this social worker comes regularly to his house and helps him with different things. So the mom says, well, this seems like something that maybe your social worker could help you with, because it's about your home. So that's the first step. He's prepared himself. So now the second step is that he needs to take contact with the social worker and describe his problem and what he needs, but with the NBG strategy. So N is for needs, B is for background, and G is for goals. So N is needs. So basically, what's the problem? The problem is, I think it's difficult with meal times, and it doesn't work. I need help with it. Background. So what does this person that you're talking to need to know in order to understand the situation better? and maybe help you in a better way. So the background for him is that there's never any food at home, and I don't have the energy to go grocery shopping after his internship, and I have a hard time knowing also like what I'm going to cook. So that was his background. G is his goal. Why is he talking to his social worker? What is the goal? What is the point of this conversation? So he asks, could you help me to plan what I can eat? Maybe we could use one of our planned meetings to go to the grocery store together and get groceries together. That would really help me. And so in the end, they end up doing that. They end up making a weekly menu and going to the grocery stores together and getting the necessary ingredients. And yeah, also his mom is now, he's told his mom that it's very meaningful and good for him that they can, to use her as like a wall to throw ideas at. So that's really good. I really think that that is a good strategy. Actually, this is a strategy that resembles a strategy that we use in healthcare, because in healthcare, you often have to report to each other. It's called S-bar. I don't know if it's called S-bar in English, but S is for situation, B is for background, right? Quite similar. A is for actuelt, which I guess is like the current medical situation that the patient is in right now. And R is for recommendation. So like, what is the goal? What do we want? So an S-bar, for those who don't know, would look like this. So S, 84-year-old, comes to the emergencies for chest pains. Okay, that might be S. B is a smoker, diabetes type 2, has heart failure. A is actual, like what are the parameters, for example. He has a high blood pressure and a high breathing frequency and a high pulse. Or please take some troponins so that we can see if he has a myocardial infarction and treat it accordingly with blood thinner, blah blah blah. So that is an S-bar, and so with very limited amount of words, you can get a whole picture kind of the situation and get the help that you need. So I think that was a really good thing. Then we get into a certain part that is about shutdowns, which is more or less okay. It is important to talk about shutdowns, and it's important for the people around you to help you in the best of ways. It's better to have this discussion before you get into a shutdown rather than while you're in a shutdown, because then you can't talk. Jarmo often gets stuck, and so he often goes like basically catatonic in his bed, like he can't talk, and it takes a long time before you can start to have a conversation. So what happens is that the mom has a system where she knocks at the door and then she sits on the bed and starts to talk about what she sees. So she says, I see that you're lying on your bed. I think that you have gone into a shutdown. Maybe we should go to the kitchen instead. It would be easier to talk there. Come, let's go. And she doesn't go directly into asking questions because Jarmo can't answer the questions. She gives instructions instead so that she can make a better situation for him. And So he follows her into the kitchen, and it's easier for him to talk in the kitchen. This is something that they've noticed, I guess. So she starts talking a little bit to fix the situation. And yeah, so this is a way to start a conversation. Then there's Åsa. Åsa has another kind of problem. She lives with her partner, and actually as a lesbian couple. Good for her. So here, Kajsa, her partner, says, "I see that you're sitting in a ball on the sofa. I think that you have gone into a shutdown. I think that we should maybe talk about what it is about." And then she says, "You're quiet. I understand that you're not feeling well right now. Maybe you don't even know what it is about? Do you feel stressed about anything?" And Åsa is just like, "Maybe. Is there something at home? I don't know." And so Åsa is basically like just saying a few words, but that's enough. It actually works. So then they can solve the problem together. But you can't be too, try to go too quickly. I think that in this book, the examples that she gave were actually pretty positive. When I think a lot of times when somebody in a shutdown, in the acute phase of it, I don't think that there is any way to even go and talk to the person. She does talk about if nobody can help you, it's difficult and it's not good. But I think that she doesn't give a good solution to this, because she says, don't go home and lie down, like actually go on a walk instead. I think that is kind of not understanding what a shutdown is. So it's like, I thought that she understood, but then it was like, that's kind of how it is in this whole book. It's like, sometimes I'm like, oh, she gets it. And then I'm like, oh, no, she doesn't. So no, I think that when I'm in a shutdown, I can't just go and take a walk. Because I take the walk and I'm just miserable the whole time. I've done this enough times to know myself enough. I think that it is useful, like you need to go through the period, okay? This is just my theory, okay? But I'm just saying, from my own experience, that I need to have that time to be in a shutdown, okay? I need to have that period where I am not expected to do anything, that I can actually lie down on the sofa and maybe cry my eyes out, or just stare at the ceiling, or just veg out. Maybe I can eat some ice cream or something. I need to have that period in order for my brain to just come back to life, you know? And maybe once my energy levels and my brain has come back to life, then I can figure out like, okay, a solution is let's take a walk, and maybe I can get out of this. But you need a certain level of function to actually go onto that walk, because that walk is not going to be enjoyable for you in the least if you are on the verge of crying, or if you're like just totally like you wouldn't say to somebody who's in the middle of a panic attack to go and go run right now, you know? You could say, okay, running is good for anxiety on the long term, but right when you're having a panic attack, it's not the best idea. So that's where I am going to end this section on. Next section will be about a two-way communication, and about different ways to have conversations with people and ways to, have relations with people. But that is quite a lot for today. So we'll say that for now. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.